Back at it again. Haiti Economic News Show, Monday to Friday, bringing you news that's going to keep you engaged, informed, and reacting in the most optimal way for your business, investment, and entrepreneurial activity. Today is the 22nd of April. Let's talk about it. We have DGI Director Madi Morin, who went on television just last week and was talking about some of the things he's trying to do, some of the initiatives he's trying to put in place for the DGI. For those who don't know, the DGI is the IRS, is the tax office for the Haitian government. It is where all tax ultimately ends up. If it's collected at the port, if it's collected at point of sale, if it's collected property tax, everything funnels through the tax office. Something that's different from the states is that there is no real local control of taxes. Even property tax has to flow first into the DGI and then gets dispersed to the local municipalities, i.e. Port-au-Prince, i.e. Cafu, i.e. the little cities, the big small cities all across. And there's not necessarily a direct obligation to say, well, 70% of our revenue came here, so it has to go here. Is at full discretion. The amount that actually gets dispersed back is at full discretion of the federal, the national government, I guess you can say, of Haiti. And so the DGI is working on modernizing. And so we've had within the past 5 years, Monsieur Morlin is able to stout certain stats that are certainly he is proud of. For example, increasing the amount of revenue that the DGI collects from 26 billion good, which is about 250 million, upwards to 56 mil, which is closer to about $700 million USD in today's exchange rate. So we've had a very large increase in the amount of tax revenue collected from the state during a time where economic activity has more or less stayed stagnant. So you can certainly say it's not necessarily that the economy has been growing. That's improved the revenue capacity of the state, but it's been actually the state itself working and doing what it has needed to do to collect and improve its tax facilities. Now, there's certain things the DGI director said during the meeting, during the television, that I'm personally going to take a wait and see approach. He said that he's going to work on adding an online component to how folks interact with the DGI. So certain administrative things, for example, passport fees and et cetera. He's hoping that can be placed in the tax office's online system. This isn't the first time. We've had talks about trying to put certain things online. Just a few years ago, there was a very big push to build a database and allow folks to start paying at least certain basic things online. Like, for example, your annual fee you have to pay no matter what, which is anywhere from 5,000 to 10,000 good to be current for the tax year, particularly if you've paid taxes elsewhere. For example, expats such as myself, I pay taxes in the States. And so I still have to pay something, and generally you have to pay, somewhere in that ballpark. Certain quick things that usually shouldn't take too long. They're certainly looking to move there. But again, I'm holding my breath, right? Because the reality is that, DG, I think a lot of folks dread going there, not because it's just taxes and the government is just a pain to deal with in general, but just the amount of open, incentivized corruption for the there's no better word for it, right? Just going in there and knowing that right in the middle of the office, you're gonna have folks, just upfront tell you, this is how it is. Here's the price, and here's how much I'm gonna need to get it done. I mean, it's pretty. There's a lot of stories a lot of folks can tell you, me included, some of the things we've seen and some of the things we've experienced going to the tax office and just trying to get current, trying to do your civic duty and pay what the state needs and is required of you, and only just to get just some guy just trying to make a quick buck outside of whatever he's already making. And so, whether or not what he's trying to do actually makes sense or not, I don't know. There's a reason why For example, we have the director of CAFU saying that only about 25%, 20 to 25% of people actually are paying their local property tax, right? And again, it's twofold. The ease of paying tax is very difficult in this country because you have to actually go, you have to sit in lines, you have to endure people haggling you for extra money. There's right and beyond what you're supposed to pay, and then finally to get out, right? So the ease of payment is just about non-existent. And by the way, everything's cash. By the way, there's no credit cards you can use. There's no checks you can use. Everything has to be at the end of the day cash, right? And secondly, there just isn't much that the state can do, right? In America, for example, you don't pay your property tax. What happens? You get a lien on your home. You don't pay your lien on your home for 2-3 years. Guess what happens? The government comes and takes your property. It doesn't matter if the property has been in your family for 200 years, 300 years. You don't pay your property tax. The government will come and take your property away and then sell it to someone else. Haiti doesn't have those sort of laws. The state can't come and take your property. The state can't come necessarily put a lien on your property. And because every segment of the Haitian government is segmentized, there's nothing they can say to say. I mean, normally they can say, well, until you pay, what you owe, you're not going to receive any service. Now, technically that happens because you usually have to show, each year you have to show, that you're fiscally solvent for the tax year to get certain services. But it's so easy to get around that, right? To find some guy who's going to give you that paper, for a fraction of what you're trying to pay, or you should pay, right? And never have to deal with, for example, property tax as the CAFU director's trying to impose, right? And so until, certainly we improve how connected the government is and what laws are in place for the government to go after folks who aren't paying their taxes, we're not going to see an improvement of rates, right? We're not going to payment rates. We're not going to see an improvement, right? Analysis. So what does that mean to you, the person who's trying to do business in Haiti? I think I've mentioned many times in many past videos, my early Anu Palais. As always, if you can just start something, get started, and worry about crossing that bridge of legalization. Once with much more certainty that the venture you're doing is profitable, right? Because I can tell you, having to go through the steps of getting all your paperwork in order, and the headache and the time and the expense and the straight up just folks demanding money beyond what is needed for the service, to experience that, and then just maybe 6 months later your venture fails because wait a minute, this idea isn't making money. I can't stress enough. And legally, by the way, you're allowed to go over 2 years before having to register, right? And so, because it's recognized it takes time for something to get started, and they also recognize it takes time for you to get through their process, right? And so you can get started legally, and I really implore folks to do that before you actually have to interface with DGI. Now, tips for interfacing with DGI, as much as possible, you need to network and see who your friends know and who your friends of friends know, so they can provide a contact who is as honest as one can find in that den, and work with that person long term. Because just going in and just showing your face and saying, hey, I want to register, it's chances are you're not going to have a very good experience, and you're not going to find a person who is necessarily going to be working in your total best interest to do the activity that you're trying to take care of that day, right? So that's my take. Again, the DGI in some has a lot ways to go. They need to improve how integrated their technology systems are, and secondly, they have to improve the laws so there is real teeth behind what they're trying to do, which is at the end of the day have the government funded by their people, right? Because again, as it stands right now, the Haitian government receives more than 50% of its budget funding by the IMF, World Bank, a very large organization, the French government, and a bunch of financial aid from just a bunch of other small countries, right? From Japan to Taiwan, et cetera, et cetera. The list runs the gamut. And there is a way where the government and the country improves is when, again, we're actually are able to sustain, have enough money to fund itself through its own economic devices, and more importantly, through its people, right? And at that point as well, the government would have even more incentive to invest in its people, right? Because when you invest in your people, then you can see the direct dollar value back in revenue dollars as time goes on. Whereas right now, the incentive is just to, not necessarily invest nearly as much and just push for more international aid from abroad. That's my take. You already know, I'd love to hear yours. Leave a comment, give that like button, hit that notification, hit that subscribe, and we'll talk more later on this week until we're back at it again.